I love what I do. I don't ever take this for granted. All right? I love.
WWE aired a highly edited version of Jey Uso's emotional backstage segment with Adam Pearce, just a few minutes skimming the surface. But what the cameras missed was raw, unfiltered emotion that paints a far deeper and more troubling picture. What you're about to read pulls back the curtain on Jey's breakdown, an anguished plea for help turned into corporate narrative, and shines a light on the exploitation that lurks behind WWE's polished facade. The real conversation, a cry for help behind the WWE curtain. What fans saw on television was a brief, tightly edited, 3-minute segment, a glimpse of a man unraveling under pressure. But behind the scenes, the reality was far harsher, much darker, and much more painful. Hidden footage and insider accounts reveal that Jey Uso, blood still fresh on his face from a brutal earlier attack, was barely holding himself together during what should have been a controlled moment. His voice cracked as he whispered words that cut through the noise. "I don't know who I am anymore. They destroyed my family, my cousin, and now they're trying to destroy me." Tears streamed down his face as he punched the wall in the trainer's room, opening his knuckles. A raw, visceral outburst of pain, anger, and heartbreak that was never intended to be seen by the public. This was not a storyline. It was a real breakdown, a man on the verge of collapse. Corporate coldness, exploiting real pain. After a brutal attack left Jey bloodied and shaken, cameras captured a brief, emotional segment that seemed to hint at a man on the edge. What fans didn't see was the full breakdown that followed. In hidden footage never intended for broadcast, Jey reportedly confessed in a trembling voice, "I don't know who I am anymore. They destroyed my family, my cousin, and now they're trying to destroy me." The natural expectation is that a leader, especially one in a position of authority like WWE's on-screen and backstage official Adam Pearce, would offer support or even step in to help. Instead, what Jey received was something far colder. Pearce's reported response, "I understand you're hurting, but that pain, that anger, that's what makes you valuable to this company. Channel your suffering into your performance." Those words weren't empathy, they were exploitation. This wasn't about helping Jey heal. Exploitative storytelling, a strategy without a soul. What makes this story even more disturbing is that it wasn't an unfortunate byproduct of storytelling. It was the strategy itself. Leaked internal communications reportedly reveal a disturbing level of planning. Executives discussed how to break down the bloodlines systematically to maximize individual emotional storylines. One particularly chilling phrase read, "Genuine family trauma creates the most compelling television." In other words, this wasn't a family naturally drifting apart on screen. It was a family being deliberately dismantled behind the scenes for narrative impact. Jey, Jimmy, Solo, and Roman weren't just characters. They were chess pieces in a storyline designed not to entertain, but to inflict emotional damage that reads as real, because in many ways, it is real. The creative team didn't wait for emotion to emerge. They created circumstances to manufacture it. Mental health ignored, a crisis swept under the rug. Perhaps the most damning element of this entire situation is the way WWE reportedly ignored serious medical advice regarding Jey's mental health. According to internal medical notes from Dr. Sampson, WWE's ringside physician, Jey showed signs of severe depression and anxiety and urgently needed psychiatric support. Not another match. But rather than listen to medical professionals, WWE overrode the recommendation. Jey was cleared for in-ring action, under threat of losing his job. He wasn't offered time off or therapy. He was handed a script. Even worse, backstage whispers suggest Jey was being kept functional through a dangerous cocktail of mood stabilizers, painkillers, and stimulants. None of it under appropriate psychiatric supervision. The man crying for help was instead propped up with pills and pressure, transformed into a character while his real-life crisis was conveniently ignored. Manipulated betrayals. Pain with a script. Even the moments that appeared as organic, gut-wrenching betrayals, the ones that left fans buzzing, were reportedly planned with one goal: hurt Jey Uso, Solo Sikoa's attack, Roman Reigns' silence. These weren't natural character developments. They were instructions from creative heads to deepen emotional wounds. Roman, once Jey's real-life cousin and in-ring mentor, became the face of scripted abandonment. Solo, the youngest of the bloodline, was instructed to turn on his brothers for maximum impact. These betrayals weren't written to serve a natural arc. They were calculated moves to intensify trauma. WWE didn't just break up a faction, they weaponized trust, loyalty, and bloodlines to generate drama. The bigger picture: entertainment or exploitation? What this situation with Jey Uso exposes is a deeper, more troubling trend in WWE, and arguably in entertainment at large. Where is the line between storytelling and exploitation? When does character development become character assassination? When does drama become real psychological harm? Jey Uso was more than ready to perform. He gave his heart, his pain, and his legacy to a storyline that blurred the lines between reality and fiction. But behind the scenes, it appears he wasn't protected. He was used. As fans, journalists, and even fellow wrestlers reflect on what's unfolded, one truth becomes clear. No amount of ratings, ticket sales, or social media buzz is worth the emotional destruction of the performers who make it all possible. WWE may be in the business of storytelling, but the story behind Jey Uso isn't just a script. It's a warning. Stay informed, stay updated. Hit that subscribe button.